Every 3rd of June, Uganda stands still to remember a group of young men whose courage changed the course of Christianity in Africa. From the hills of Namugongo to churches across the country and beyond, Christians commemorate the Uganda Martyrs, men who chose faith over fear, conviction over compromise, and ultimately life everlasting over earthly survival. This year, however, as the nation reflected on the sacrifice of the martyrs, members of the KKCRA Catholic Resident Association Choir, together with the KKCRA executive, embarked on a different but equally meaningful journey, one not to the shrines of Namugongo, but to the home of a man they consider a living witness of the same faith and resilience. The choir gathered for a special Uganda Martyrs Day Mass in honor of veteran catechist Mr. Stanislas Nwebyona, whose life of service to God and the Church has inspired generations of Christians. The celebration came after months of illness that have limited his active participation in ministry of KKCRA, prompting members of the choir to dedicate this year's commemoration to encouraging and appreciating a man they describe as a spiritual father and mentor. Presiding over the Mass, KKCRA caretaker Reverend Father Dr. Chiza Godfrey challenged Christians to move beyond simply celebrating the Uganda Martyrs and instead embrace the values for which they gave their lives.
Kunkawaza na hero ni memoria. So memoria nabwo nekiro mu kereziya ekiri comparasory, ekiri obligatory, eki umumisa bashemere gukora ki ukwijuka bahikirire. Yo ndijuke myaka mushanje yo nayo namaze Roma, ekire kiko cyacikaga gana mukuru yagira ngo ni warashomesa ni wo rukumanya abajurizi ba Uganda. So twino mugisha kureba ngo twine abajurizi.
When Christian missionaries arrived in Uganda in 1879, the gospel took root so deeply that within a few years, young converts were willing to face persecution and death rather than abandon their faith. Today, he said, Christians must ask themselves whether they are living with the same commitment and conviction.
Abajurizi ko baraye baryo mu iguru tikwe bariyo ni batushabira tikwe kunkitwa hano munsi turi kuyakorera ibi turi kwenda kuko twahurira umushomo ryo kubanza ngabunga bari kombekesa ki abari kombekesa ururembo nebikorwa bibi ngo baryakora ki baryakareba ezo nkozi ze bibi so hati bari abantu ko baraye baryo mu iguru kuri bariyo bari kututonganira bari kutushabira kunkitwa hano munsi turi kuyakorera ibi turi kwenda tugumizemo kuba inkozi ze bibi.
Reminded believers that when missionaries arrived in 1879 and introduced Christianity, it took only a short time for young converts to embrace the faith so heartedly that they willingly surrendered their lives for Christ. Yet the priest observed many modern Christians have spent decades in the church, often struggle to live according to the values for which the martyrs died.
Abahishirira ba Uganda, abajurizi ba Uganda 22 bakafa ryari imyaka nimujimanya areke shunguru mu Uganda ekiragamba ni mwe bari mapera naki hari ekite 1879 ebiri 10 bingahe na mushanju umukwezi kwa kangahe ukwa kabiri kumurabe muri kumanya bimwe byafayo habahikirira habajuri zaba bamwe bakafata kahwire n'imyaka engahe ibiri ishatu bakaba bakoze reki babisiri. So almost bona niturebaho the shortness of their life as believers bakamara imyaka mike bakirire ki okwikiriza kunka bagira ubumanzi ubwo kwemerera kugira ngo itwe utwakirire nitukora ki nitumwikiriza bikiriza kuba abajurizi kunka batunjira kwikiriza bamaye ruhanga okumara kira kache just yerebe bona toshemerewe kusima ruhanga emyaka yabe myaka orukure ikigambo cya ruhanga oyira magara oyakiriro kwikiriza ubatizibwe na hati kandi ndijo myaka cyakoze reki wewe kwa ruhanga timuntu kitakutirize myaka mingi ababa bakabasa kukunda ruhanga no kumumanya no kumuhereza umubwire buke katikisimu niko kutugambira.
In a moving tribute, Father Chiza described Mr. Stanislas Nwebyona as a living martyr, a man whose dedication to God, the church and the Christian community has remained unwavering despite personal challenges.
Actually, people start celebrating you when you are still alive, okay? Because victory of Christ is not after death, it is daily. Yeah? There are so many things that God does in our lives just because we have endured, because we have persevered, because we have not gave up. Maybe today we are here enjoying with Mushomesa. If we had gave up on many things, we wouldn't be here. If he had gave up on his education, when he was at St. Paul's Seminar and he decided to stop Liberty Senior 4, I don't think Mushomesa would be here, okay?
The celebration came at a time when public health concerns linked to Ebola prevented the faithful from undertaking the customary pilgrimage to Namugongo. Instead, KKCRA chose to bring the spirit of the martyrs closer to home by standing with one of their own. The chairman of the Kigezi Kampala Catholic Residents Association thanked the Nwebyona family for their long-standing generosity towards the church, citing numerous contributions, including the church vestments, a mass kit, and other liturgical items that he has contributed to the community of KKCRA.
Tusime abakwaya abateekateekire kuija kureba Mushomesa omazire emyezi atarija kushoma nitwe ahabwo kurwara konka by coincidence ekyetengo kyabo kyashanga n'ufatanye ground Stanislas nitwe yatweta ngo twijiremo mazima tuterere kwaya mugana ati ya seti egiyo twine biremara twine double ibiri ibyo bikopo bina ibyo kugaburiramo. So ekimpaha kirabasa kuva mu hositiya nyingi konka bw'abagabuzi kwera ngo uburyo bumagende urude twine sets ina iz'abantu kutwara n'ekimpa of course barakeje gusa kugabura. This is now the chalice buriyo ekyabera tugambira hariya ndagira cyakitarafanesh but this is now the one tugamira ngo hino ndijo ile kisaketi umuri kamporo umparaza today. Then neberagenderaho byona yatuhereza eseti y'ebijwaro bina Father murareba icyajurene cya red hariho cya purple hariho cya green hariho n'icya mutare icya white byona bikopa ukose kijwaro kirakine na story yacu kandi ikindi kitwa turaronda tutine is what we call the mass kit. Arabayine briefcase kandi ari mu byona ibyo gusoma misa eka complete bijingura abantu barebe how it looks like inside, so kondo rabaraga mass kit omanyango eri muna chalice iri muna simboli kugira ngo mu makoro yine mw'abantu macyate uri mushomese uri complete. So turaguma turasima kandi turasima tire bugarukiro. Martyrs
For members of the choir, the gathering was about more than appreciation. It was about honoring a man who has walked with them through years of service, guidance, and spiritual formation. In an emotional moment, the choir members unveiled a portrait of Saint Stanislas, specially prepared for Mr. Nwebiona Stanislas. The portrait carried words of encouragement, symbolizing hope, strength, and perseverance during his recovery journey. As hymns filled the air and prayers were offered for his healing, the celebration became a powerful reminder that martyrdom is not only found in the frames of Namugongo, and sometimes martyrdom is found in quiet endurance, in unwavering faith, in selfless service, and in the courage to continue trusting God even in the moments of suffering. On a day dedicated to heroes who died for their faith, KKCRA choir chose to celebrate one who continues to live it. For KKCRA News, I am Davis Omsha.
I will stay.